If you're tired of feeling overwhelmed by your daily tasks and goals, then I think I have the exact system that you need. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to set up a daily routine system in Notion that allows you to add your daily tasks and habits with a single click each day, and it also tracks your progress. So I'll start by showing you how it works, and then I'll be showing you step by step how to build it for yourself. So here is the daily routine system that I've set up. So this here is the database, and here is a button. So I simply click this button to start my new day, and it will automatically add all of my habits and goals for the day into this database. And as you can see, the habits have all been grouped based on the time of day that they fall into. So I can easily open and close the toggles as I like throughout the day. And I can simply check off the habits or goals once they're complete like this, and they will disappear from the list. So this tab here is the to-do list. So it shows all of the outstanding habits or goals. I've then got a done tab to show any that have already been checked off, and I've also set up this track tab as well to actually track the statistics for my habits and goals. So as you can see, we have a toggle here for today, so it's currently saying I've checked off 25% of the habits and goals, and if I open it, it will also show me exactly which ones I've checked off and which ones are left, and it will also show me some stats for the previous day. As you can see, I checked all of them off yesterday, and also some stats for the previous 7 days as well, and you can see the percentages here. So this is the system that I'm going to be showing you how to set up today. It's really handy if you want to stay on track and actually achieve your goals. So I'm starting off with a brand new blank page. I've just titled this one daily routine and just added an icon and a cover photo as well. So the first thing we're going to do is create a brand new database. So I'm just going to type in /database, and we're going to select the database inline option, and that's going to add a brand new database, and you can call this anything you like, but I'm just going to call mine daily routine. And as we already have the title up here, I'm just going to hide the title of the database. So I'm just going to click this hide database title, and we're also just going to delete the default tags option as well. So if I click on here, I'm just going to hit delete because we don't need it. So the first column is where we're going to input the name of the habit or the goal for the day. So I'm just going to add one as an example. Let's just add a breakfast in here like this, and I can just make this a little bit smaller as well. The next thing we need to add is a checkbox so that once I've completed the goal or the habit, I can check it off. So we're going to click on here to add another property, and this one is going to be a checkbox. And we're just going to give this the name of done ? Like that, and that's all we need to do. And again, I'm just going to make that a bit smaller as well. Next, we need to add a date property so that I know which date each habit is referring to. So we're going to add another property, and this one is going to be a date property. And I'm going to leave the name as date, but I am just going to change the date format. So instead of full date, I prefer relative. So what that does is instead of providing the exact date, it might say something like today or tomorrow rather than the 1st of February or something like that. So I prefer relative, but feel free to pick the option that you like. So just as an example, if I set this as today, as you can see, it says today rather than the 1st of February. Okay, and again, I'm just going to make that a little smaller. So just before we jump back into the tutorial, I just want to mention that my new Second Brain template is now available on my store. It's a super advanced all-in-one productivity system. I'll leave a link in the description box below if you're interested. So that's all, back to the tutorial. Next, we're going to add a select property for the time of day. So if you remember on the example, we had all of the tasks grouped together based on if they're in the morning, afternoon, or evening. So we're actually using a select property to add that. So what we're going to do is click on here. I'm going to type in select and go with this select option. And I'm just going to name this one time of day. We're then going to add some options. So I'm just going to click on this add an option, and we can type in, we're going to do morning. If you hit enter, it's then going to add it as an option. We're also going to do afternoon and evening like this. Now, just to make this look a little bit nicer, I am just going to change the color of all of these to the light gray option just so that they all match. I just think it looks a little bit nicer. And if you like, you can also add emojis inside of here as well. So one of the easiest ways to do that, if we just click the X here and go back to the page, if you actually just type in a colon like this and then the name of an emoji, so let's just say a sun for morning, you can actually just select it from here and it will be inputted onto the page. So let's have a sun for morning. I'm just going to do the same. Let's do maybe a cloud for afternoon like this one, and for evening we can do a moon like this. I'm then just going to copy each one. So let's start with the sunshine. So I'm just copying that using the Command C option on my keyboard. And if we then click back on our select property, edit property, and the sun emoji was for the morning option. So if I just click on here, it's going to bring it up again, and I'm simply just going to place my cursor at the start and paste in the emoji and just add a space. And if I hit enter, that's now been added into the option. So I'm just going to do the same for the other two. So I'm simply just going to come back here, copy the emoji, go back into the property, click on afternoon, afternoon and just paste it in at the start like that. So I'm just going to do the one for evening as well. Okay, so I've added that in, so this is now what it looks like. So that's all we're going to do. So I'm just going to click the X, and you can also just delete the emojis from here because we don't need them anymore. At this point, I'm just going to add a few more things into the list so that we have a bit more data to work with. So let's just add a couple more. So I've just added the meals in here. So I'm just going to select a type of day for each of these. So breakfast we're going to put as morning, dinner is going to be evening, and lunch can be afternoon. So I've got one item in the list for each of the different times of day, and I'll just set the date for each of them as today for now. The next thing we're going to do is add a grouping to this. So I actually want the items to be grouped based on the time of day that they fall into. So to do that, we can click on the three dots over here. We're going to select group, and it's then going to ask me what I want to group them by. So in this case, we want to group them by the time of day. So that's the option we're going to select. And as you can see, it's now adding a toggle for each of these. Now you just want to check that these are all in the right order. So you want to go morning, afternoon, evening. If they're not in the right order, then you can just drag them like this, but I'm just going to leave them as they are. And you also just want to make sure that hide empty groups is also toggled on, and there's no extra groups. Okay, so this is what it looks like. So as I said, we've got a toggle for each of these, so you can now open and close them as you please. The next thing I'm going to do is change this to a list view. So I actually think the list view looks a little bit better than the table view that we currently have. So to do that, we can click on the three dots here, select layout, and we're going to change it to a list view. And this is what the list view will look like. And I also just want to change the properties that are showed on here. So I also want to see the checkbox. So what we're going to do is click on the three dots here, select properties, and then we're going to decide which properties we actually want to display in the list. So I do want to see this done checkbox on here as well. So I'm just going to unhide it so it now shows. And I'm also just going to hide the date property here. So if you just click on here, it's going to hide it. So the only ones that we want to be shown in the list are the name and the done checkbox. Everything else should be hidden. And that's just because in a minute we're going to add a filter so that the only things that appear in this list are anything labeled as today. So we don't actually need to see the date on here. Next, I want to add a default icon. So as you can see, we've got this little page icon here appearing, and that's because we've not set an icon, but I just want to set one as default so that I don't have to choose one for every single item in the list. So to add a default icon, we can click on this downward arrow here, and we're going to click add a new template. And the only thing that we're going to add to this template is an icon. So I'm just going to click add icon. It's going to add one at random, but I'm actually going to click on Notion's icon library, and I just want a check mark. So I'm just going to type that in, and I think this one is the one that we're going to go with. So I'm going to leave everything else blank, not going to fill in a name, and we're just going to hit back. And once again, I'm going to click on the down arrow here, and here is that default template that we just set up with the icon. So I'm just going to click the three dots here and set that as default, and you want to select for all views in the daily routine. So now whenever you add anything into this list, that icon will be added as default. So let's just add one here as an example. As you can see, there is our icon. So I could just put something like take vitamins. Now for anything that's already been added to the database previously, it doesn't automatically go back and add the icon. So you will just need to open each of these like this, and you can just select the icon template here. So I'll just select that for these three. Okay, so this is now what we have. So now that we have the basic database set up, next I want to add the start new day button that's going to add all of our daily tasks or habits into the database for us. So what we're going to do, just above the database, I'm going to type in /button, and we're going to select this button option here, and this is what it looks like. So I'm going to start by giving our button a name. So I'm going to click here, and we're just going to call this one start new day. And you can also add an icon if you click on here as well. So let's just go with the sunshine emoji, that one. So this is what the button looks like. So next we're going to click on add an action to tell it what we want the button to do. And in this case, we want to add a page to. So I need to add a page to the database below. So that's the option we're going to go with. And it's then going to ask me which database I want to add a page to when the button is clicked. So we're going to select the database, and it's just going to be the daily routine database. So this is where we're going to input all of the different tasks and habits that we want to do every day as part of our daily routine. So you simply just want to type one in. So let's start with take vitamins. I then want to edit another property on this page. So I'm going to click on here, and we also want to edit the time of day. And this is where you can select the time of day for this specific habit. So in this case, I want to take my vitamins in the morning. So I'm going to select that one. And we do need to edit one other property. So I'm going to click edit another property, and we want to edit the date. So I want the date to be today, whatever day that I click this button. I want that date to be populated, so I'm going to click in here, and you can just pick today. So as I said, that will simply just input the current day of today when you click the button. So that is the first habit, but I actually want multiple habits to be added into the database when I click the start new day button. So we're going to add another step, and luckily you can actually add as many of these as you like. So what we're going to do is click on the three dots here, and I'm simply just going to duplicate it below. So that's just bringing through an exact copy of the habit, and I'm actually just going to change the name. So on this one, let's change it to drink glass of water. So this one, again, I want to complete in the morning, so I'm not going to change this. And again, we're just going to leave it as today. So now all you need to do is just keep duplicating. So just keep clicking on the 3 dots and duplicating below, and just add in as many habits as you want to complete, and make sure you add different options for both morning, afternoon, and evening. So everything that's part of your daily routine, you should add in here. So I'm just going to add a few more. Okay, so I've added a range of different habits. As you can see, I've added quite a few. So you just want to add as many as you like. And once you've added them all, we're simply just going to click done at the top. Now I'm just going to delete the ones that we have here briefly. So it's a brand new day, your list will currently be empty, so I'm simply just going to click on the Start New Day button, and that's going to add in all of the different items that I've just added into the button. And as you can see, they've been grouped together based on the time of day. The next thing we're going to do is add a couple of filters. So I actually only want the habits and goals to show up for the current day. So if I click this button again tomorrow, it's going to add them all again. But as you can see, I've now got twice as many. I've got double the amount. So let me just hit back. So I actually just want the ones for today to show up. So we're going to add a filter, and it's going to be based on the date property, and we're just going to change this to this day. So that just means today. So anything that is labeled as today will show up, otherwise it won't show up in this view. So I'm just going to save that. I also want to add a filter for our checkbox. So once I check off a habit like this, I actually want it to be removed from the list so that I only see outstanding habits or goals. So I'm going to click on add filter, and it's going to be based on this done checkbox, and we only want to see items where the done checkbox is unchecked. So as you can see, once I've added that one habit here that I checked off has now disappeared, and if I check off another one, as you can see, that disappears as well. Now we're just going to change this tab here to our to-do tab. So if you click on the name of the tab, you can hit rename, and let's just call this one to do. And you can also change the icon as well. So I'm just going to change this to an unchecked square like this. I also think it would be useful to have another view where you can see all of the habits or goals that you have completed for the day. So we're simply just going to duplicate this tab firstly. So I'm going to click on here and select duplicate, and I'm just going to change the name of this one to done. And we can also change the icon here. So if I just type in checkbox, let's just go this completed check mark like this. Now the only thing we need to do on this new tab is change the filter. So if I click on filter, it's going to bring up the filter, and we want to change the done checkbox filter. So we actually only want this one to show where the done checkbox is checked. So therefore it's just showing any completed habits or goals for the day. And the final thing that I want to show you how to make is the tracking tab, which tracks your analytics for each day. So what we're going to do is just duplicate either of these. I'm just going to duplicate this one, and we're going to change the name of this to track. And you can also pick a different icon as well. Let me just type in graph, and let's go with this one. This tab I think would work better as a table view. So we're going to change it from the current list that we have to a table. So if I click on the 3 dots here, let's click on layout and change it back to a table. I also want to change the grouping that we have. So if we click back on here, and we're going to click on group. So it's currently grouped based on the time of day. So if you click on group by, we actually want to group this by the date rather than the time of day. So I'm going to select date. So as you can see, the toggle has now changed to today. So it's just showing the stats for today, and it will have a different toggle for each different day of the week that we have stats for. And the only thing we need to change here is this sort. So it sorts based on the oldest first, but I'd actually rather see the most recent date first. So we're going to click on here and change it to newest first instead. Now inside the toggle, I don't actually need to see this date property because I can see the date already here. So I'm actually just going to click on here, and we're going to hide it in this view. And I'm just going to move the done checkbox to this side, and let's just make that a bit smaller as well, so it looks a bit cleaner. I'm also just going to remove the filter that we currently have. So we currently have a filter based on the done checkbox. So I'm actually just going to click on here and clear it. And we're also just going to delete this filter as well, because this is currently only going to show us data for today, but I actually want this to show data over time. So I'm going to delete both of those filters. So as you can see, once I've deleted both of the filters, all of the items are now showing up under our toggle. I do just want to add a sort. So these are all mixed up, as you can see, but I actually want them to be sorted by morning, afternoon, and evening. So we can actually add a sort for that. So I'm going to click on the sort up here, and we're going to sort based on the time of day, and currently they are ascending, but it's going the wrong way. And you just want to pick the option that is going to go from morning, afternoon, evening. It's going to depend on the order that you actually put them into the select property. So for me, I'm going to select descending, therefore it's going from morning, afternoon to evening. So the sort is based on the order of the options within the select property. And to actually calculate the percentage of checkboxes that have been checked, at the bottom of the done checkbox here, if you just hover around at the bottom, you're going to see this calculate button. So if you click on here, you can actually calculate the percentage checked. So currently we have 16% checked, but if I just check off a few more of these, as you can see, it increases as we go. So once I've checked all of these off, as you can see, it's gone to 100%, and you can actually get this percentage here to show up here next to the toggle. So if I actually just click on here, it automatically will just count how many things there are in the list, but instead I want to see this percentage. So if we click on here, you can actually choose what you want to see. So let's go with percent checked, and it's bringing up our done checkbox. So I'm going to select that option, and as you can see, it's now bringing up the percentage, and if I uncheck a few of these, as you can see, it does update automatically. And that is it. So that is our daily routine all set up. So you'll simply come here at the start of your new day, click on the start new day button, and it will automatically add all of your daily habits and goals into this list. So throughout the day, you can just come on here and check off the ones that you've completed, and you'll then be able to use the track tab here to track your progress over time. So that's it. You can check out all of my pre-made Notion templates over on my store, including this super advanced second brain system. I'll leave a link in the description box below. And if you did find this video useful, then I'd really appreciate if you could give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, as I post new Notion tutorials every week.